Hello, guys. So last week we were talking about sons of absent dad. That's basically men who grew up without their fathers and how this has affected them. And I think one common thing we mentioned was the feeling of anger, rage, frustration, and all of this stuff. And I made mention that it is very important for you to be the best father to your child, the best husband to your wife. It's very important to find your healing, because fathers are meant to teach their son how to be men. That's how to exercise self-restraint, take charge of your life, be a provider and a protector and a gentleman to the ladies in your life. So when fathers are missing one or more of these things meets, and when one or more of these things meets, there's not a problem. So take, for instance, you lack self-control and you're angry that your father left. You then turn to your wife and turn out to be punching back, thereby traumatizing your children. That's just one example. Second example, there was no way to teach you how to provide and protect for those you love. So you become an absentee dad, the same way your father was also an absentee dad, and you still repeat the same pattern that played out in your own life. And so, in order to break out of that pattern, you must realize that there is work that you need to put in as a man, right? I mean, you don't let your father's mistakes, become the determiner in your own life. And so today we'll be talking about the steps that you can go through. And one of the steps that, it's very important is, understanding your potential regardless. Now, why is this an important step? Because a lot of times, I always say this, that our parents are our first window of possibility, right? We see the world through our parents' eyes. And so the decision for your father to decide to stay or not to stay for you determines the valuation of your worth in your own life. And so it's entirely possible that your father decided that I'm not going to stay, I'm going to go for one reason or the other. And then you grow up thinking that I'm not enough. You're angry. Why didn't he stay? I'm not enough. I wasn't wanted, right? I didn't think that I was worth staying for. And you will have all of those things play out on a conscious and subconscious level. Now, in the midst of all of this crisis, in the midst of all of this noise, you must understand something. You have great potential regardless. And in order to drive home this point, I would like to start with the story of Steve Jobs. Now, it's worth to know that I think Steve Jobs was born in 1955. And Steve Jobs grew up with adoptive parents, not his actual parents. And this is why. Steve Jobs' mom, biological mom, got impregnated by a Muslim, basically impregnated her. And I think her parents had issues, right, with the guy and didn't want her to marry the guy. And so one led to another, and they had to give the child up for adoption, which is Steve Jobs, right? Now, eventually, the father, eventually got married to the mother, but the father didn't really care about Steve Jobs like that. He didn't really make the effort to reach out to Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs, who grew up with his adoptive parents, always struggled with the feeling of abandonment, struggled with the feeling of he wasn't enough and things like that, right? But I don't know if this was the motivation for being successful, right? But the guy actually put in the work, swore to himself that he was going to be successful. And now we have Steve Jobs. This guy has been dead for over 15 years, I think 10 to 15 years, and we still talk about him, right? He's the reason why we have MacBook. Is the reason why we have the iPad. It's basically the reason why we have all of these fancy gadgets, right? And I think he had some other amazing creations, right? Think about Steve Jobs and ask yourself this question. Did Steve Jobs have value? Did he have what? Objectively speaking, what do you think? I mean, if I came and said Steve Jobs was a useless guy, you would think I'm probably the fool here. I mean, if the room was noisy and I said that, everyone would be quiet and be like, who is this fool? Now, what does that mean? That means that his father's valuation of who he was did not determine his actual worth. So in the case that the father did not see that it was necessary to be in his life for one reason or the other, does not now mean that he was void of worth. And he proved it by being a very successful person. And so in the same way, you would agree with me that Steve Jobs was someone who was valuable. You must also look into yourself and tap into those potentials, because your father cannot have the final say in your life. I mean, by virtue of deciding, not to be in your life, and, consequentially, you will now feel like, I'm not worth much. You must understand that you have potential, you have value. Reach into that value and tap from there. Secondly, you must learn to change your focus. Now, what do I mean? It's understandable that you are so focused on the fact that you didn't grow up with a father, and a lot of times you wonder what life would have been like if you grew up with a father. And the truth is that that feeling is very valid. Now, you must also understand that everyone in life has their own challenges, right? That doesn't make yours any less valid, but everyone in life has their own challenges, right? To one person, his mom died when he was young, right? To another person, the mom died giving birth to him, so that's his own struggle. To another person, his parents died and his guy is an orphan and he has to look after his younger ones. So another person, his parents are alive, they are well, but they never gain satisfaction in anything that he does, right? And so everyone has his own struggle, everyone has his own trauma, and some traumas are bigger than others, but every lot of people have their own traumas. Now, the point is that life is full of traumas, life is full of challenges, life is full of things that are beyond our control. And so in all of that, you also realize something else. Life is also full of beautiful memories. Life is full of good things. Life is full of the things that we love and want and yet want. In as much as you realize and acknowledge the fact that you didn't grow up with a father, you must, in the same vein of fairness, acknowledge the fact that there are also beautiful things that are happening in your life. Take for instance, you're being raised by a single mom who will give her life for you. Appreciate the fact that you have this single mother of yours. Be grateful for her. Appreciate the fact that you have wonderful siblings, if you do, who are willing to go to the ends of the earth for you, if they are good people. Appreciate the fact that you have really supportive friends. Appreciate the fact that, the entire philosophy behind life is that life is surrounded by time and chance. And time and chance basically means that you had to be born into this household, right, at a certain time to be able to meet all the people that you're surrounded by. So your mom, your siblings, and the fact that if you didn't have that man, let's say that guy, that useless guy who's your dad, who walked away from you, if you didn't have him, then you also don't have these corresponding beautiful experiences. So it's either one or the other. It's either you have this guy who is deadbeat and you're surrounded by these wonderful people in your life, or you don't have this guy who's deadbeat, but you don't get to meet these wonderful people in your life. It's one or the other. And so you are stuck in one reality, but in that one reality, you must understand that one reality that gave you so much baggage also presented so many beautiful opportunities to you. And so pay attention to that. Yes, acknowledge the fact that your father's absence may have traumatized you, but also acknowledge the fact that it has also left with so many beautiful memories, so many beautiful people, a loving community, a loving support. And so don't miss out on the 99 good things that are going well for the one thing that isn't going well. It's also important to ask yourself, what are the ways that my dad living has made me not be a man, not stand up? Has it made you more withdrawn? Has it made you very angry? Has it made you to become not ambitious? Because one of the responsibilities of men is that they have to provide and protect, and one of the very important attributes in ensuring that your family have food to eat is that you have to be an ambitious person, right? You basically should not be a lazy person, right? And so the absence of a father from a child's life could lead to the child being lazy. So are you a lazy person? What are the different areas that your father leaving you has contributed? Do you see that you don't know how to treat women right? And so you have to take all of these things into stock. Ask yourself, where am I lacking? Now, if you're not lacking any of this, beautiful for you. But ask yourself, where am I lacking? And then begin to find certain role models that can help you, male role models that can help you. If you can't get male role models that can help you, what are the books that you can read? Self-development courses that you can take to actually improve yourself. Why? Because although you didn't have it good, your children must have it better than you. And so you must ask yourself this question, know where you're lacking, and fill up. Because part of the responsibilities of being a man is to ensure that our families don't have to undergo the burdens that we underwent as children. And next, understand that God loves you. God sees value in you. And so in all the other points I made, tap into your potential, just like the same way Steve Jobs did that, all of those stuff. It's good that you do that, but you're not tapping into your potential in order to prove a point. You're tapping into your potential because you already have value. Do you get? And I always like using the example of the gold, right? Although the gold is raw from the ground and the gold has to be refined in fire, you're not refining the gold in fire to build to bring out value from the gold, or rather to give the gold the value it doesn't already have. The gold is already valuable. You are only trying to express the value or make the value show forth better, if you get what I mean. And so you understand that you have value. When God created you, God put value in you, and in that value, find rest, find peace, find wholeness in that value, in knowing that you are enough. You are enough, regardless of your father's decision to be in your life or not. You are enough, and you must find rest and peace in that. It's very important that you do. If you need to talk to someone, talk to somebody. You need to talk to a professional, speak to a professional, but you must find rest and wholeness in yourself. Next point, find outlets. Now, if you're somebody who is surrounded with rage, right, rather than punching the people in your life, go to the gym and register for a boxing class. Lift heavy weights, basically break that cycle of violence, right? You can register, learn, certain fighting skills. These are good and proven ways to let go of the rage within you. Another thing that helps is forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is so important, and forgiveness cannot be overemphasized. You're not forgiving your father because you're a good person. Nobody cares if you're a good or a bad person. You're not forgiving your father because he's a good or bad person. Nobody cares about him in this scenario. You're not forgiving your father for him to help you to help him. You're forgiving your father so that you can move on with your life, so that you can be that person of impact, not just by nature of achieving peace, but by nature of being a good and loving husband. And what forgiveness does is that forgiveness is a sack on your back. And the more that sack rests on your back, the sore it gets, the sorer it gets, or whatever. But basically, the more the weight, the more you feel it. And the more you feel it, the more people around you feel the bitterness, the anger, the rage. I have a friend who has a younger brother who is always angry because the father is basically absent. And then he pours the anger and aggression on everybody. Now his elder brother has to move on with his life, busy with other things, and he's always angry with the brother because the brother is not staying. And he's trying to compare the brother to the father, right? He's basically using his insecurity to see the brother in the light of the father. And so because he is angry with the father, he's not forgiving the father, he's not pouring it on every other member of his family who also had to grow up with the absence of that same man. And so you realize that you will just be unfair to people in your life, punishing other people in your life because you have refused to forgive this person. And so you must forgive so that the people in your life can enjoy you best. How do you forgive? Very simple. You forgive by praying for the one who hurts you. Now, you're not praying for them because you necessarily want to wish them well, which you should. You're praying for them because you're helping yourself to let go. These are some of the proven ways. And please, if you have any other way that helps sons to heal from absent fathers, please put it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, right? Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely day. Bye.